Why do you say that people should not invest in thematic new fund offers?
Because I just believe that if you look at the history, a lot of them come through when the theme has already started to play out, and to that extent, and I contrast it, right? I mean, I look at thematic funds that are launched in sectors or themes that are absolutely beaten down, worst performing theme or sector in last 1 year. I look at the NFO collection, nobody's willing to invest. And I look at thematic funds of themes which have been the best performing theme of last 1 year, 2 years. They are typically products that do not deliver. That's one side of looking at it. In fact, on my LinkedIn, when we did a fund launch 4-5 months ago. It was a big struggle. Okay. It was a value fund. It's not really a thematic fund, it's a diversified one, but it was a time when people were saying, boss, value is now out of fashion. And we were very clear, we want to create a value product because Krishna, who manages our overall franchise, is one of the better value investors in the industry. And I remember putting this on my LinkedIn. I am convinced this NFO is going to do well for investors because of how difficult it is to get money. It's almost like there's a correlation. जिस NFO में people are reluctant to invest, you go 3-5 years later, उसमें पैसा बनता है. And which NFOs are the absolute talk of the town, flavor of the moment, it's difficult to see people. And this is not, I'm giving you a Kushal example of last 2-3 years. You can go back 20 years. You go back to 2007, remember the infra funds that got done. Go back to 99, you remember the tech funds that got done. Right? So which is why I always believe that thematic funds, you end up investing in them pretty much 1/3 or 2/3 of the way. That's number. Number two, if I was to do one, you should ask me that if that is the case, you run a flexi cap fund. Should you not, because you are responsible to managing my money well, should you not have put more money in that theme or that sector? Because that's what you're paid to do, right? So that's how it may sound like a very purist way of thinking, but that's my belief. I had done one weird experiment when I try to explain to people the fallacy of this, na Kushal. And this is not completely accurate, but this is mostly. I tell people ki 10 years ago, you can just open typically websites that do display, like value research would give you a fund category wise median return, average return, right? So you go back and now most categories have got a 10-year return. Large cap, mid cap, large and mid cap, flexi cap, etc. And I just tell people, just go back 10 years from now, before, and say that, I have no opportunity to listen to this podcast that Anthony and Kushal did. I have no advisor. I actually have no financial background. So with the lack of all of that, what can I do? But I want to invest. Utna to that only one concept I have learned, that I should invest. So if I don't do anything and I know nothing, what will I do? I will invest equally in every fund that exists at that time. Because I don't know to decide which fund house is better than the other. I do not know how one category is better than the other. Even in the category, I don't know which fund is better. So I put 1,000 rupees in every single equity fund that existed 10 years ago. I am guaranteeing you check the 10-year return of that result, which is nothing, simply put, I will take the average of all 11 categories that have 10-year records. Trust me, Kushal, you will end up with the 5th or the 4th best return.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which then just goes to show that, boss, all this overthinking on which fund type, thematic, waste of time. There is only one, according to me, मेरे 30 साल में मैंने एक ही चीज सीखा है. And maybe I have only, unfortunately for my own personal wealth status, learnt it in the last 3-4 years only. एक ही चीज है जो पैसा बनाता है मार्केट में, भले आप डायरेक्ट इक्विटी हो लेते हो या म्यूचुअल फंड, देयर इज ओनली वन मैजिक फॉर्मूला, and it is called samay. That is the reality. If you are able to give 10 years, 15 years to any investment, it doesn't matter. Then even the thematic fund you bought at the peak will have made money for you, argument's sake. So I'm like, boss, why do you want to go there? Just buy any diversified fund. I sometimes tell people, मेरा सब फंड को एक डार्ट बोर्ड पे ले लो आप, यस द डार्ट, थ्रो इट, व्हाटएवर इट हिट्स ऑन, जस्ट इन्वेस्ट इन इट, डजंट मैटर, as long as you will come back only after 10 years. But if you're the kind of person who will throw the dart, then after 2 months you'll come and say, Ache, aapne wo kiya, now it is down 3%, so I'll remove it, I'll put it in the fund which is up 5%. That effectively is very, very, there are lots of statistics that show that if you miss the best month in the market over the last 20 years, you will make 90% less return. 90%.
My God.
Right? So imagine you are invested for 18 years out of 20 years. So you could argue, I would say, कुशल मैं लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टर हूँ, लास्ट 20 साल में 18 years में इन्वेस्टेड रहा हूँ. But if you happen to be someone who unfortunately believes you have a high IQ, so आपको पता है कि बॉस मार्केट का ये महीने में मंदी होने वाला, so I'll take out my money, and it turns out to be the opposite, you will make 10% of the original return. And I've seen these statistics. If you Google it, you'll find this is not statistics of Indian market. अब US में भी ये studies दिखाएगा. So which basically goes back to telling me that boss, it is not for any, whether it is a young person, old person, middle-aged person, man, woman listening to this podcast. Actually, only one thing makes money, which is time. Not thematic fund, not diversified fund, not anything.